Some players a world of good.
Behind Ricky tonight.
Let's see who's behind Ricky on the defense. There's a look at the defense with Coughlin and Cody Ross and Brett Carroll getting the start, his 12th start this year. Bonifacio, Cantu, they've each had a good season against the Nationals. Ronnie Paulino behind the plate, and there's its shortstop, the co-National League Player of the Week, Hanley Ramirez.
Willie Harris. I think the Nationals in the 6 games that the Marlins saw them had 5 or 6 different guys in center field. And it's Willie Harris who's been in there for the bulk of the game since. Speedy guy. We saw him a lot in Atlanta when they had that platoon in left with Diaz and Harris.
He'll surprise you. He has a little pop. He'll hit a home run occasionally.
Velasco with a good, like a changeup. And it's 1-2. Ricky and the Fish trying to draw back to the 500 mark after losing 3 straight against the Rays. Save for 1 rainout makeup game. Interleague play is done. And the American League a 137 to 114 margin.
I thought the good number in doing some interleague reading today, the Marlins one of 2 National League teams with 10 or more wins. So not too many National League teams had winning records.
Good breaking ball. And Velasco opens this game with a punch out of Willie Harris.
Again, we talked early in the season about Ricky not being able to put hitters away once he got 2 strikes. No problem putting Willie Harris away with that good slider down and in.
So here's Christian Guzman. I asked Manny Acta tonight if there's one guy that gets overlooked because of the Nationals record, and the Nationals come in at 22 and 51. He said this guy, Guzman. He said consistently he puts the barrel of the bat on the ball, hits line drives. He's hitting .330.
Well, here's a guy who could represent the Nationals in the All-Star game. Hanley with pretty good lead right now over Jimmy Rollins, who is having an off year. So if Hanley, in fact, does get voted in, now you can go and Charlie Manuel and his staff and the league can choose who they feel is deserving. And certainly Christian Guzman is.
Yeah, it could be a Guzman. It could be an Adam Dunn, because Dunn has had an outstanding year. This is as of today, the latest voting, and Hanley's lead is 250,000 over Rollins, so he's starting to open up a little bit of a margin. But Braun, Beltran, and Ibanez with Wright and Pujols on the corners. Pujols and Utley, by the way, are the guys that are leading all vote getters in the National League. Speaking of Hanley, hello, Hanley.
And by the way, Jimmy Rollins didn't even play the weekend series the Phillies just completed, just to get his head together and try to get back on track, hitting in the 230s.
That's what essentially we did for 2 days over in St. Pete. Tried to get our heads
together
for those 2 days.
We got them together for Sunday, and here we are tonight.
Mick Kazuki brings you our weather. Come play our way. Here is Nick Johnson. With any team that falls out of contention, and the Nationals certainly qualify, you look at guys that might be dealt to contending teams, and I think Johnson is a name that has been bandied about for some time. Working in his favor and the Nationals' favor is that he stayed healthy for 3 months,
which has always been an issue for Nick Johnson.
He has not played a full season without going on the disabled list.
He actually had 2 separate years where he didn't play at all, in 2000 and in 2007.
When he does play, he's a terrific player. Very good first baseman. One of the great eyes at the plate, of on-base percentage of over 400.
On-base percentage 410 this year. Coming into this season, 396, so he's right around that 400 mark.
See, to me, he would fit in that American League East with either the Rays, the Red Sox, or the Yankees. Guys that just grind out at bats. High pop. Cody Ross surveys and makes the catch. And Ricky Nolasco 1-2-3 in the first. Scott Olson coming out.
SAP y es presentado por KFC.
Marlins lineup con el lanzador muy bueno, Leo Núñez.
En el left field, primer bate, Kugler. Segundo bate, en tercera base, Bonifacio. En el shortstop, Hanley Ramírez. En primera base, Cantún. En segunda base, Ugla. En el center field, Cody Ross. Quechando, Ronnie Paulino. En el right field, Caro. En el pitcher, Nolasco.
Nicely done, Leo.
Good job, Leo.
Scott Olson on a mound that he's very familiar with. Misses up with a fastball. Scott 25 now, out of suburban Chicago, Crystal Lake, Illinois. And Coughlin pulls one on the ground. Slick fielding Nick Johnson just gets there in front of a head-first slide by Coughlin.
Good hustle, as always, by Chris Coughlin to make Nick Johnson hustle back to the bag. Here's the defense. Dunn, Harrison, the hammer. Josh Willingham in the outfield. Zimmerman and Nick Johnson at the corners. Guzman, Hernandez up the middle. Will Nieves behind the plate. It's a defense, Rich, that only Arizona has made more errors than the Washington defense.
Hey, we have always say great replay by the guys in the trucks. How about the audio on that last replay? Listen to this. That's pretty cool.
You sure Coughlin is still isn't mic'd up?
Do we have a mic under first base? Bonifacio, of course, a national for a time. I think the Diamondbacks made most of their errors this weekend. they made a ton of errors in that series against the Angels.
Yeah.
Including, I think, 3 throwing errors on 1 play. Bonifacio. Olson slipped after that delivery and climbs back to his feet.
I'm not sure if he slipped when he delivered or if he slipped when he planted to maybe get over and cover. See, he starts to plant to go cover first base. Any ball hit to the right side, that's kind of a natural instinct. It should be anyway for a pitcher.
That's the last thing that Manny Acta needs. I mean, Manny Acta has had to work with a dysfunctional roster throughout this season. You feel for a guy who is a bright young manager that has been dealt a very tough deck of cards. He's had 42 starts by rookie starters. He started the season with a bunch of outfielders, none of whom could play center field. Here's Hanley. And Olson misses up with a fastball in an organization that's obviously in a rebuilding mode. Hanley climbs in, co-player of the week in the National League.
He has used numerous closers.
Oh.
The key tonight, and I think we talked about it, we'll watch the velocity. That was a changeup by Scotty, but his velocity's been 91. And that helps his changeup. When his fastball's in the low 90s, his changeup is more effective.
Wow. Olson is fortunate that that was just to the right of him. You could see his reactions as he tried to put a glove on that. So if that was at him, that would have really hurt him.
Yeah, because by the time he reacted to try to put the glove on it, it was by him. And I know you like this term, but usually on a home run. That was a severe crack-a-lack.
It was. Good call. Here is Cantu. Well, Cantu homered against Olson earlier this year. In fact, in the start on the 7th of April in this ballpark, both Jorge and Dan Ugla, or Dan Ugla, as Leo Nunez called him, they both hit 2-run homers. Ronnie Paulino had a double and a triple in that game. Cantu to center field. Willie Harris. 1 inning in the books. A rain delay 37 minutes. Glad you're with us. We will entertain. But the Marlins and the Nationals are going strong. A creative piece of rain gear. Here is Ryan Zimmerman. Now, since the Marlins saw him last, he had a 30-game hit streak. And he hits that ball into the seats. Man, that's deep. A blue seater, almost an upper decker, and it's 1-0.
Well, no question, very aggressive on that first pitch fastball. He saw it, had a great swing, and showed off his power. 13th home run of the year for Zimmerman. He's been on a nice tear after going through an 0 for 17. There's a fastball. Saw Ronnie Paulino wanted it a little outside, and it was middle of the plate. And Zimmerman has that kind of power.
Speaking of power, Adam Dunn hit one 442 feet at Camden Yards yesterday, and now has 19 homers. Smacks one into right field. BC is out there, makes a catch, and there's one down, and up comes one of our favorites, Josh Willingham, and it's nice to see him back and playing. Willingham was on the bereavement list, the tragic death of his brother, and since he's come back, he really has been something. Manny Acta told me before the ball game how much he values Willingham, not only in his lineup but in his clubhouse.
As we well know, a solid citizen and a solid player.
Velasco misses outside. Yeah, the hammer's been right around 400 his last 17 games.
9 for his last 18.
His back has stayed healthy this year.
And remember, when we saw the Nationals early in the year, he was trying to get some playing time. I think he only started one of the games against the Marlins, one of the 6 games.
Hammer gets into one. Deep. Ross reaches and won't get it. Hammer time for a double on a ball hit about 420 feet.
Yeah, the Zimmerman home run, a blue darter. This one, or blue cedar, that one a blue darter. And just a shot that quickly got over the head of Cody Ross. That short, quick swing of Willingham, head down, and then one hop and out of here.
Yeah, the Nationals, when they opened the season, and Willingham, a new National, led all of baseball in outfielders on their roster. I mean, Manny Acta had nobody that could really play center field, even though he had 7 or 8 outfielders on his roster.
Yeah, they were all corner outfielders.
From Lastings Millage to Elijah Dukes.
You look at his roster now, and still they have Dukes on the bench, Austin Kearns on the bench.
Here's Anderson Hernandez. He didn't have Anderson Hernandez to start the year because Hernandez pulled a hamstring in one of the final spring training games. Hernandez a little bit like Emilio Bonifacio. Lots of speed, middle infield type guy, and trying to, at the big league level, get some plate discipline. He's always been a free swinger, a guy that hasn't walked a lot.
And he gives Manny Acta a different dimension than Ronnie Belliard as far as second base.
Broken bat. Look out, Ricky. Man. Did you see the shard of bat end up right where Nolasco was fielding that ball?
I'll tell you what, I'll be honest with you. If the bat and all that stuff isn't flying out toward Ricky, he may have a little better concentration to think about the runner at second. But there's too many things to think about right there. And he just wants to make sure he gets the out. It's the second out of the inning.
Here is Will Nieves. There was and I'm not sure the shortstop, but I saw the highlight this weekend. A play like that where a business end of the bat.
Nick Green.
Was it Green?
Yeah, it was Nick Green.
And man, that was scary. That almost got him out at shortstop, that far from home plate. Ricky doesn't get it. Ugla doesn't either. And it cost the Marlins a run.
And all of a sudden, that little thing of Josh Willingham going from second to third on that bouncer and barrel of the bat going back to the mound allowed the Nationals to get their second run. But because Willingham's at third, the only guy that's going to make that play is if Nolasco can get it. Ricky couldn't quite get there. Dan Ugla didn't have a chance. He tries to just flip it. And even then, I don't think he would have got Nieves.
So it adds up to a 2-0 lead for the Nationals. And here's Olsen. Well, the last time we saw them, they were the Nationals, at least for a few innings. Remember, they had the uniform snafu up in D.C. That was a series in which the Marlins came from behind and won all 3 games in the 9th inning. The first time that's ever happened in Major League history. Olsen fouls it at the plate.
And there they are. Zimmerman and Kearns are done. You know, I think if you're Manny Acta, you talk to your club about the games that you've played against the Marlins, and you say, you know what, we're in every game, especially those 3 in Washington.
Strike 3 called, and Nolasco gets out of the inning, but Brian Zimmerman hits one in the seats, and then Hammer a double, and he scores on a single.
He's 27 years of age, died in a car accident in Alabama a couple of weeks ago, and I talked with the Hammer today about that, and as a remembrance to his young brother, he has his name on the sweatbands, John, there on both his left and right arms, and he told me after a week, and you can imagine, and this is one thing you'll probably never get over, but he did say baseball has given him a little bit of a sense of return to normalcy, that he really needed to kind of get back and get back focusing on his career. But obviously our thoughts, prayers are with a family we got to know very closely. His wife Ginger, Dad David, the Willingham family went to a lot of road games when he was with the Marlins and have been big supporters, of course, of Josh and his family. So our thoughts out to him. Tough stuff for him in his life, but good to see, at least from a baseball perspective, that he's performing well again for his team.
Amen. Good stuff there. And yeah, the Hammer, it's good to see him back. Dan Uggla, Cody Ross, and Ronnie Polino here.
Tough for everybody. We used to see Josh's parents at a lot of the games, so a tough time for them as well.
Uggla with a count 2-0. Remember, he homered against Olsen back in early April. Statistically, Uggla's season is a real interesting one. His batting average obviously is down, but his RBIs are there. He's on pace to hit 30 homers and drive in 90 runs, and his walk totals are up. He's on pace to have a career high in walks as well. Uggla has walked 42 times, so if you double it, we're a week away from the halfway point. He's at 84 walks as well. The key for Uggla is going to be having a better second half than he's had in his early career. He really faded last year in the second half. He's the walk leader among the Marlins. You never would have guessed that at the start of the season.
If you had asked that question in spring training.
Dan fouls it back, and it's 3-2. Marlins on a nice run until they got to St. Pete, cooled down by the Rays. And Ugla goes after an Olsen changeup. Family Sunday on the 5th. Right after the big 4th of July fireworks show on Saturday, the Family Sunday against the Pirates. First 5,000 fans get a Marlins mini helmet radio courtesy of Geico. And kids can run the bases in the Diamond Dash after the game. 1-877 Marlins.
You talk, Rich, too, about getting cooled down by the Rays, cooled down by a couple of left-handers, too. The Marlins have hit lefty starters 18-10 now against lefty starters. But, of course, 2 of those losses, the last 2 games in St. Pete.
Ross takes down low. Yeah, Marlins had a real struggle with runners in scoring position in that 3-game series. There's Olsen, and I know it is drizzling, but as usual on this mound, Scotty always perspired profusely.
Yeah, you knew that hat was going to be damp either way with the rain, the perspiration. That bill will start dripping pretty soon. So certainly no stranger to this mound.
Ross takes a fastball and sends it out to right. It's a little different look out there for Willingham, having to get used to right field. I think Hammer said, that's your ball. Baseball's biggest stars go head-to-head. The All-Star game is coming up. There's the fastball.
Yeah, I wanted to see that last pitch because that's what Olsen can do when he gets that fastball in the 90s, low 90s. Change up, he can go up top with the fastball because he has just a little extra velocity after spending time on the disabled list.
In this ballpark, there's the bill of the cap starting to drip a bit. Here is Paulino. And Ronnie sends this one to right. Willingham circles and makes the catch. 1-2-3 go the Fish in the second. 2-0 Washington. spectacular night in the summer's biggest event as Fox brings you every thrilling moment of the 2009 Major League Baseball All-Star Game. Coverage begins Tuesday the 14th from St. Louis. Willie Harris, top of the order for the Nationals. Christian Guzman and Nick Johnson. And Nolasco misses low and inside. If you just happened upon us, whether you're in the state of Florida, whether you're watching on the Major League Baseball Extra Innings package or on your computer, wherever you might be, a soggy good evening to you. The Nationals have a 2-0 lead. Ricky Nolasco catches the corner.
And I know we get letters from all over the country, responses, people way up in the Northwest even watching at times.
Yeah, with your feet up on the couch, sit back and enjoy this one. Nolasco, just a piece of that did Willie Harris get. And it's 1-2.
It's an amazing turnaround. We've talked about it with Ricky Nolasco. But in the month of May, before he was sent down, he had an ERA over 12. He was 1-3. He has come back. The curveball has had sharpness. He's 2-1 with a 1.80 ERA in his 4 starts since coming back. Here's the sequence. He misses with a fastball, gets the fastball to Willie Harris. Another good fastball with some good sink to it. And then the curveball puts him away. And again, I use that term, puts him away. He wasn't able to do that early in the year.
A lot of lengthy at-bats and high pitch counts. Here is Guzman. We talked about him as a possible All-Star. He's been an All-Star twice. Once as a Twin. And last year as a National. He's a type of guy too, and we've had this discussion about a few players, guys that are playing on teams with bad records. If you plug him into a Boston or a New York or Chicago or the Dodgers or someplace like that, a guy like Guzman, people would say, man, he's really good. And now that he's healthy, he had a couple years where he wasn't healthy, had eye issues. He's back to where he was when he was a Minnesota Twin.
He was an All-Star in 2001 with the Twins. They used to call him Mr. Triple. He used to lead the league in triples after that.
Yes, he did. 1-2. Guzman is 31 now. Boy, he's got it going after getting roughed up a bit in the second inning. Nolasco has come out and struck out the first 2 here in the third.
Well, the thing you have to think about, and Ricky had to put that aside, the second inning, because he's come out and made some great pitches. Another curveball here just freezes Guzman. The home run, okay. Fastball, middle of the plate, Zimmerman torched it. But the other run, you know, a double, Willingham got to third, and then just a little infield base hit that wasn't hit hard at all. So you have to tell yourself, still making good pitches, especially even on that second run.
Note to self. 0-1 pitch coming. Nick Johnson is 0 for 1. Everybody back to their respective leagues tonight. The Mets are in Milwaukee, where J.J. Hardy is homered, and the Brewers have a 3-0 lead.
With the Mets just getting swept by the Yankees, of course, trying to survive with all the injuries they have. And the Phillies are off tonight.
How'd they swing that? Braves are off tonight as well.
And that's why they're off, because they're playing each other tomorrow night.
Here's the 2-1.
Funny how it works that way.
And to right, Carroll is there, and Brett makes the catch. And so Nolasco bounces back for the second, works a 1-2-3 third. It's 2-0 Nationals. is presented by the authority of the Florida Marlins. May not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. Counts and description of this game may not be disseminated without express written consent of the Florida Marlins.
Muy bueno, Ricardo.
Here's BC. Brett Carroll, Ricky Nolasco, and Chris Coghlan scheduled against Olson. In the third, Carroll homered over the weekend against Scott Kazmir, and he takes outside.
Yeah, the Marlins all of a sudden are in a little run of left-handers. Third left-hander in a row they've seen.
4 of the last 5 have been lefties. That's a strike. Hope you had a chance on Marlins Live to see the combo Frankfurt feature, the sports science feature about outfielders running into wall, and a little addendum from Brett Carroll. And he bangs that one in the gap in left center. That'll be extra bases. BC can run a little bit. He's headed for second, and he'll hold right there. Boy, he really has taken to this, playing not every day, but against lefties.
Oh, he has. Believe me, a player that gets in this situation, there's a few things that happen. He got himself in this situation because he's played hard, good defense, he's had good ABs, gets a high fastball. It's our checkers double of the game. And also, all of a sudden, guess what? Confidence comes into play. He has confidence. He has an idea that when the Marlins face a lefty, that he's going to be in the lineup.
So BC now at second. Here's Nolasco, and he's going to try to bunt him over to third. Ricky lays it down. Olson bobbles. It still is a little wet out there, and he throws out Nolasco. That provides safe passage for Carroll. It's a sacrifice bunt. Now it's up to Coghlan to make it pay off.
Good job by Ricky. The one guy you really want to take out of play there is Nick Johnson. You don't want him to field it because he was charging in. He's a good fielder. If you can get it up the third baseline, that's okay. But just to get it back to the pitcher, good job by Ricky.
Now Coghlan stands in with the middle infield back and the corners creeping up. If he can put it in play up the middle, it means a run. Coghlan pulls it foul. Going to be interesting to see as the Marlins head towards the end of July, if they do make a move, whether they acquire a bullpen arm, and if they do acquire somebody, if it's a regular player that goes or a prospect. Here's the 0-1. Got tied up and dumps it down the line. Foul. I know both you and I agree that eventually Chris Coghlan will be more of a number 2 hitter or closer to the middle of the order. How long will Coghlan stay in the leadoff spot?
Yeah, you don't know. You don't know what moves lie ahead. I don't even know if Freddie knows all of that. You just kind of wait and see. Because everybody, especially the contenders, everybody is going to be looking for pitching help.
Olson's got Coghlan now 0-2. And he rips it into right field, base hit. So the Fish get the run. Carroll scores. And now Coghlan, with good base stealing speed, is aboard.
Good at bat. You could see the reaction by Scott Olson. He was upset at himself at where that 0-2 pitch was. All got started, though, with Brett Carroll's double. It's a breaking ball. It hung middle of the plate. And when you have that solid swing that Coghlan has, he's able to drive home Brett Carroll.
I think one of the variables when people talk about make this trade, move this guy, do this, do that, I think one variable that people have to keep in mind, I don't know that the Marlins are that comfortable with moving Coghlan back to the infield. And he's running on the pitch. Quick release and a great throw by Nieves. Man, you talk about catch and release.
Nieves has gotten a chance to play a little bit with Jesus Flores on the DL. It couldn't have been a more perfect throw, and it took that kind of throw to get Chris Coghlan right on the money, about ankle high.
And it's 1-0. Bonifacio runs up the bunt and takes outside. You know what? Bonifacio, from this side of the plate going into the weekend, had walked just once. And he's walked twice from this side of the plate in the last 2 games. It's down low. It's 3-0. What in the world's happening?
He's trying to make it 3 times. You saw the splits. His average over 300 from this side of the plate.
Olson throws a strike. You can see below the league average, getting better, whether it's rapid enough for the Marlins. That's at the knees or thereabouts. 3-2.
Well, over the weekend we saw that pitch. That's a borderline pitch, though. Not bad. That one wasn't, but the call on the pitch before makes you swing at that one because you don't want to get called out, and you know you've already had a low strike called on you, so it's you can't take the chance.
As you've seen Bonifacio in 3 months, just righty-lefty, is he the type of guy that you would consider going to and saying, hey, maybe we should scrap the whole switch hitting thing?
No, I'm sure that same thought was around with Luis Castillo at times early in his career, too. No, I don't think so.
The benefit of being on the left side for such a young player is too good. Boy, Bonifacio hits that one to left center, hits it pretty well. Harris is back, looking up, and it's off the wall. Over forward is done. Bonifacio racing for third, and he'll stop right there. Boy, all of a sudden you had visions of Lasting's Millage on his stomach, and Bonifacio racing around the bases for an inside-the-park homer against the Nationals early this year.
His only other home run this year is 1 home run inside the park job against the Nationals. High off the wall, good at bat against Olson. The key is that Adam Dunn, the lumbering left fielder, gets over there and gets it back in as quickly as possible. I guarantee right there Bonifacio's thinking about inside the park home run. But the relay was pretty good and there was no bobble in between. That was an 8-pitch at bat for Bonifacio.
So a nice at bat, and here's Hanley now, the National League's leader with runners in scoring position. But 2 out. Up the middle. Add another one for Hanley.
Add his 16th RBI in his last 7 games now. Oh, wow. Right back up the middle again. Both base hits tonight have been shot right back toward Scott Olson. Yeah, knuckles for you too, Rich.
We have seen a dramatically different approach by Hanley this year as opposed to last year with runners in scoring position.
Came into the game over .430, leading the world in batting average with runners in scoring position.
Last year,
it's another one.
Last year he had .238.
Wow.
With runners in scoring position, and last year he used to swing from his heels in that situation. This year he's up the middle, he's into right field, and now he's driven in 52 runs. Cantu smacks one foul.
That's a good point. How many base hits can we think of? And I think even more so late the last month that Hanley has gotten with a man in scoring position either up the middle or into right field.
Yeah, that helmet. Don't clean that thing. You want to see what that ends up looking like in September. High pop. And Dunn lumbers over, as Tommy said, and makes the catch. But the Marlins put together a 2-run rally and tie this game. along with Chris Coughlin providing RBI hits. And the Marlins have tied this game 2-2. So Nolasco and Olsen are back square here in the fourth.
Be careful on this first pitch to Ryan Zimmerman. He likes to go after the first one. His home run back in the second inning, his fourth home run this year on the first pitch.
We were talking about Hanley's approach with runners in scoring position. Before the ball game, we got Jim Presley's impression of Hanley in the same spot.
Well, he's been swinging about really well this week, and you know, he's got some big base hits for us, and he's driven in some runs. He's starting to catch on, staying inside the ball a bit better. He's been working on that in BP, and he's starting to juice the ball to left field, which is good.
See the sparkle impress his
Yeah.
eye when he got to the juice part?
Yeah, he likes that.
There's that to average with runners in scoring position. But Yunel Escobar for the Braves up there as well. Adam Dunn takes a strike. Adam Dunn has had a nice start to his career with the Nationals, transitioning from the Reds. Trying to get to 20 home runs again, and that was a late call. He glances back at Bill Welke and said, I don't know if your brother at first base would have called that a strike.
Adam Dunn has had 5 consecutive years of 40 or more home runs. That's some big time power.
And not as big a drop off as many expected moving into a spacious ballpark in DC. It's a 2-year $20 million deal, which means if an American League contender went shopping for Dunn, they'd still have to pick up his salary next year. Big breaking ball and a strike. And with 2 outs, ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the duck. He waddles in confidently with some Expos national
I
history.
think he's confident that he can stump us with this one.
Who's the only player to collect 6 hits in a game?
Only Expos national player. Boy, that's some terrific Expos players over the years.
A guy like a Jose Vidro.
Vidro, Tim Raines, possibly the first base coach here for the Nationals, Marquise Grissom.
That's a good call, too. Hammer takes a hammer.
Oh, Ricky's got the hammer working.
That's
the
0-2.
curveball. 5 strikeouts for Ricky Nolasco.
Sorry to be redundant there, but it just slipped down. Willingham doubled back in the second. Shoots it down the line. Well, there, you know, in Expos history, and you are certainly a piece of Expos history, there were some great players, Tim Wallach, guys that just were overlooked because they played in Montreal. I think the Blue Jays suffer from some of that right now. And Adam Lind, guys like that. Marco Scutero, I think he deserves to be an all-star this year.
I know we were impressed at the play of Marco Scutero in Toronto.
O2 is outside. How about Mark Grudzielanek?
Used to have over 40 doubles. Had a 50 double season with the Expos.
We could go Andre Dawson.
Coco LeBoy. Now we're going to the early years.
Ron Fairley.
Ron Fairley, yeah. I like Tim Raines. You got to think of somebody with speed, with 6 hits. To me, anyway, I have to think speed. So I'm going to guess Tim Raines.
I think Nick Johnson is the last original Expo, isn't he? This was the last foul ball. Let's see how our camera crew fared. Oh,
the quickest reactions around from John Toohey, too. I got one more Expos history name. Delino DeShields.
Good. That's a good one. Velasco's fastball is fouled back. 51 pitches for Ricky, working here in the fourth with 2 outs.
We're probably way off base. It's probably someone who's played in the Nationals organization.
What? I think Nick Johnson's the last original Expo, last guy that was an Expo that is still a National. Of course, he was originally a Yankee. That one is off the glove of a diving Bonifacio. Willingham stays hot.
Boy, he had a nice at bat there. Battled and battled. Got him a pitch that he could handle and hit it hard. Good top spin to get it past Bonifacio. We've seen Bonifacio make some plays like this. Slider kind of stayed middle of the plate. That one couldn't quite handle. And Hammer's 2 for 2.
Anderson Hernandez. He had the broken back ground ball that moved Willingham up to third in the second. Willingham would score on the 90-foot base hit by Will Nieves. Ricky pumps in a fastball. The Rays are up in Toronto and shutting out the Blue Jays 3-0.
I believe that is a Roy Halladay start, his first start since returning from the disabled list. Remember, he pulled a groin muscle against the Marlins.
Carl Crawford and Pat Burrell have homered. That's a good team. I think both of us are extremely impressed with the Boston, but the way the Rays are playing right now, that's a good ball club.
How about over 100 steals and 100 home runs already before the All-Star break?
How good is Carl Crawford? I mean, he's a guy, we were just talking about Expos and Blue Jays that don't get.
He got a little more notoriety last year,
yes,
because of the way the Rays played, but just a tremendous player and consistent. Somebody made a good point to me today, and it's kind of true, but when you think about it, because we know the damage he can do. He said, yeah, the weak link right now in the Rays lineup is Pat Burrell.
That's a nice luxury to have.
So we hope Pat the Bat gets going, and you said he just hit a home run up in Toronto, so that's good.
And it was off of Halladay. Jeff Neiman starting for the Rays in that ball game. I told you the Brewers are on top of the Mets. That's 3-0 in the sixth. Cubs 3-1 over the Pirates in the seventh. Of course, the Pirates are here after the Nationals. Hernandez, a pesky hitter right now, is extending this inning for Nolasco.
We'll get a little different look at that Pittsburgh ball club with Andrew McCutchen, the talented, speedy youngster that has taken over that center field job and leadoff spot
for the departed Nate McLouth, and we'll get plenty of opportunities to see McLouth in the second half. The Marlins have 13 games left with the Braves, a dozen games left with the Phillies, 9 each for the Mets and Nationals, and 43 against the East from this point forward. Willingham on the move. Ricky spears it, flips it, and the inning is over. Nice play. you need a car, truck, or van, who you going to call? 1-877-Marooney. By Checkers, Little Place, Big Taste. By Corona, official sponsor of the timeout. And by Prestige Audi, just 2 minutes south of the Aventura Mall. 1-866-7-MY-AUDI today. Tonight, rain pushed the start time back almost 40 minutes, but the Marlins and the Nationals well underway, a 2-2 game. Ugla, Ross, Paulino against former Fish, Scott Olson. Ugla strikeout victim back in the second. Giants and Cardinals are playing tonight. Those are two teams that the Marlins certainly will keep an eye on. It's much easier to focus on the teams in the East, the Braves, the Phillies, and the Mets. But you also got to keep an eye on the wild card teams. And the Giants certainly qualify as one of those.
The Giants, even though they're 7 games behind the Dodgers, 40-34.
You know, that's one team that when they go shopping probably won't have an arm at the top of their list. They're looking for some runs, bats, guys that can produce for them.
Maybe the Giants could use a Nick Johnson.
They could use a Nick Johnson.
Who's a Sacramento kid.
Yep. They could use Adam Dunn. Struck him out. Breaking ball. Ugla none too pleased. But Olson, one of the best pitches he's thrown of the night. All right, let's delve back into Expo national history.
Now, we did throw out a lot of names.
Everything but Yuppie we offered.
He couldn't run well, though.
She's texting the answer right there.
Ah, Rondell White.
Okay.
How about the fact that he hit for the cycle in that game as well?
Rondell White.
No, the last time Scott Olson pitched was on Wednesday in AAA for Syracuse.
Ross hit that one just a little bit too hard. Willingham with a tumbling catch. Nicely done. Josh Willingham spent the afternoon at Cody Ross's house. And how does he repay him?
Yeah, how does he repay? That's just not right. But a great play. And Josh has always been a little more comfortable in left field. But when you have a couple of left fielders in the lineup, one of them has to go to another position. So Hammer's in right and Dunn is in left.
Paulino smokes it. Guzman, nifty play. Spins around and gets him. 1-2-3 inning. Couple balls hit hard. Still a 2-2 game.
Fútbol está disponible en español vía Zap y es presentado por KFC.
Shark Stadium, una tremenda actuación hasta ahora de
Cookie and
Ricky
Raul
Velasco.
join us now. Hi, guys.
Rich, Tommy, how are you?
All right, guys. Good.
How are you?
Very
good to see
good.
you back.
Hey, did you hear the lineups by Leo Nunez tonight?
Oh, it was awesome.
That was great.
Amazing.
I was hoping he would mix in a couple of the nicknames, and then it got me to wondering, what is the Spanish word for caveman?
Hombre de caverna.
De caverna.
Hombre de caverna. It's, sometimes in Spanish you'll notice you have to say like 4 or 5 words.
Hombre
for
de
one in English.
caverna?
Caverna, yeah.
Caverna. Well, that's...
Caverna would be cave, and then hombre. There's not a real compound word like that in Spanish.
Ah, well, that would be
caveman.
The nickname for Ronnie Paulino that his teammates call him the caveman.
Did you notice how he pronounced the names in Spanish as well, like Ugla and
Ugla.
Uglin?
Yeah,
we like that. That was a nice touch.
It's funny when I hear that.
See, we get to hear that every night from you guys.
Well, only when we're home. We wish sometimes that we could go on the road with you. But
You know what? We wish you could too. we need you sometime.
I hear you.
I don't know if we've talked to you about this, Ro, but you had a piece of Nationals history the last time we were in D.C. because wasn't that the game where
Yes.
the uniforms?
Yes, it was.
You called our
That's
production truck because you spotted it on one quick shot.
I did. I thought it was odd, and I sent our great producer John Sulzer a text message. Sorry, and I let him know. And lo and behold, it turned out to be. Cookie was telling me that they even auctioned off those jerseys, if I'm not mistaken. Is that true, Cookie?
I think so.
I think
they did.
it's a good idea if they should have.
So there you go.
Good catch. All right, have a good
Thanks.
show, guys.
You too, guys.
Yeah, see, every once in a while on a downer road trip, a few bad games, we need Cookie and Raul around.
Yes, we do. Velasco trying to finish Olsen off. He struck him out in the second. Busts him up and in.
Boy, Scott Olsen had a nice inning, an 8-pitch inning. Some well-hit balls, but some atom balls. And good defense on his ball club.
He's got a better pitch count night going than Velasco. Oh, he hits a high pop. Carroll is over and there, and he makes the catch. So there's 2 outs. Camp Day is Wednesday. The Nationals, remember, it's a 12-10 game, and tickets start at just $6 per ticket. You can call the Marlins Group Sales Department. No matter what your camp, you qualify for Camp Day. 305-626-SAVE is the number. 12-10 start. Mark that down.
Let me tell you, too, Josh Johnson is pitching that game with his 7-1 record, trying to make it 8-1.
Willie Harris takes that fastball. And Velasco and Olsen still good friends. Two 2-0 to Willie Harris. Harris has struck out twice. Ricky has 5 strikeouts.
Yeah, 5 strikeouts and no walks. It's something that he actually was okay with, his strikeouts and walks ratio early in the year when he wasn't pitching well. But he's continued that along with pitching well.
High strike. Harris isn't happy. He peeled away thinking it was up. Sometimes it's tough for an umpire when a hitter does square and run up like that. You kind of lose the perspective.
Because he kind of shortens himself up, the strike zone.
It's almost a moving target. That's up.
First 3-ball count tonight.
You know, the first few times we ran that, I thought that was you. Here's the 3-2. I thought maybe you were.
The look or the sound?
The sound. I thought you had like a cracking your back or something. And I'm like, what? You all right, Hut? Still 3-2. Nice play. Cantu gathers it, steps on the bag, and Velasco is through 5. Still 2-2. Rapid rewind. Everybody working hard tonight. AT&T, your nation's fastest 3G network. AT&T, your world delivered. Steve Cardamone in the world's most dangerous tape room. Mark Butler on audio. John Sulzer, our producer. Jim Hawley, household name, our director. Ken Lee, our graphics coordinator.
Well-liked graphics coordinator.
Generally well-liked.
Generally well-liked, yeah.
Brett Carroll doubled his first time up, and Olsen with a dive-bombing slider. Scott, you know, when we first saw him and coming up in briefly in 05 and then in 06, he threw what he calls a slider, and it looks like a curveball. It's really curveball speed because Olsen doesn't throw all that hard.
Kind of like Sean West has what he calls a slider, but it's an in-betweener.
Oh, 2. And the count 1 ball and 2 strikes. The Nationals jump to a 2-0 lead on a Ryan Zimmerman homer. A double by Josh Willingham and an infield single by Will Nieves. Boy, Zimmerman absolutely crushed his. Carroll swings and misses. And so BC goes down. Up comes Velasco, up comes our Hyundai Road ahead. We're here tomorrow. Wait a minute. Hold everything. We're in the wrong place. Tommy, what's happened? We're supposed to be in St. Pete again?
If I followed that, I'd be lost.
I did not get a memo on this. We got to go back and replay that series?
We got to do a rapid rewind of that.
That wasn't the Hyundai Road ahead. That was the Hyundai path we've just traveled.
It's a Hyundai road we've been on.
Yeah. Marlins don't want to go back there. That, especially against that team right now. Velasco swings and misses. All right, let's everybody step back, take a deep breath, and let's try it again. Cue the music. All right, there we go. 6:30 tomorrow. It's our Hyundai Road Ahead. Pretend it never happened. Wednesday against the Nationals, and then the Pirates come in. No television on Saturday. Tommy and I will be at the spa, and then Sunday, high definition for the Buccos. Here's Coughlin.
You're talking about going back. You certainly don't want to go back to the Trop. Where Tampa Bay is 26-13 at home.
Yeah, but you know, the rest of the American League East, the Marlins had pleasant memories of the Yankees,
sure,
the Blue Jays, the Orioles. They did drop 2 of 3 to the Bostonians.
Yeah, but it's a pleasant memory just having been at Fenway.
So pleasant that John Henry had his wedding reception there this weekend. Any wedding reception that has Larry David there has got to be a good one.
Big time, yeah. I think they had a nice band there, too. I forget who it was. See, I read those things. I don't retain the way you do.
Wow, that's the band. I didn't. I don't recall. It was a nice 6-tiered cake, though. No, it must have been something. Have your wedding reception in left field at Fenway Park. Former Marlins owner John Henry, current co-owner of the Red Sox.
Once again, we tap into our Red Sox insider.
Well, he knows.
Maroon 5, thank you, was the band.
Coughlin sends that 3-2 pitch out to center field. That would be Willie Harris territory tonight. He makes the catch. And the Fish are down in order. On to the 6th. In the 6th. Glad you're with us tonight. You can get all the Florida sports information you need as it happens from Sun Sports and Fox Sports Florida on Twitter. Follow us on twitter.com/Sunsports Fox FL.
Some serious twittering going on. Or is it tweeting? Or see, I still haven't gotten that correct.
I think the proper word is tweeting. Guzman takes a strike. So now I know that if I log on there and I see a tweet and it's from you, I know it's an imposter.
Yeah, because I would have no idea how to do that.
That would be the fake Tommy Hutton tweeting.
I've heard you're getting into the blogging stuff, though. And
oh, yeah.
Facebooking.
0-2.
I'm just trying to figure out Craigslist. I first heard that, and I thought it had something to do with Minervini.
Here's the 0-2. We'll be here all week with the Nationals and the Pirates. There he is. See, look.
He's checking Craigslist.
Very important to Twitter, according to our network.
Yes. What do you put on those? Got a good seat tonight?
Throwing a couple of updates in, like
press food was bad tonight.
I need to be a little more creative. Those are good ones. Had the turkey taco tonight. A little nuggets maybe from the ball game. Something we find out. For example, I'm going to give you a report on Kiko Calero. Can I do that now? Kiko Calero. Maybe we'll put this. Good news for the Marlins relievers today. A light side session for Kiko, who's been on the DL with right shoulder inflammation since June 18th. Retro. He threw, and he's going to throw a heavier session on Wednesday. And then Freddie Gonzalez said they may actually look at a rehab outing somewhere. That's good stuff. He had that 2.01 ERA and the 178 average against. And I thought when the Marlins pen guys was rolling real well a few weeks ago, it was everybody had their role. And that's been thrown around, jostled a little bit with the injuries. So it'll be good to get Kiko back. Very busy guy. He was in 36 games until he went on the DL.
You could argue that the loss of Calero, Tommy, is felt more by the bullpen than the loss of Matt Lindstrom.
Yeah, I think there were a couple of situations in some of those games in St. Petersburg where we would have seen Kiko Calero, certainly.
Always good to hear in the rehab process. And I think much like Calero, Craig tweeting off flat ground. Calero has gone from throwing off flat ground to throwing on the mound. When did that come into baseball vernacular?
10, 15 years maybe. Because before you never really heard that. The guy just started throwing. Usually, okay, he started playing catch. Now if he's playing catch, that was not off the mound.
Coughlin over and makes the catch. So there are 2 outs.
Or he was seen doing baseball activities.
Yeah, I like that one. He's now doing baseball activities. All right, you want to be here for Fish Friday on the 3rd. It's the Marlins against the Pirates. 6:10 start. Please make a note of that. CBS 4 for 54 pack. You can play Billy Bingo for your chance to win an authentic batting helmet autographed by Jorge Cantu. 1-877-MARLINS or visit Marlins.com. Ryan Zimmerman has resumed baseball activities here with this at bat. He hit a ball real far in the second.
Yeah, his baseball activities are usually pretty good.
And I think with a better cast of characters around him, Guzman's healthy in front of him, with the Johnson in front as well. Adam Dunn behind him. Hammer's in the lineup now. Suddenly Zimmerman is getting a lot more pitches like this.
And he attacked it. We mentioned that was a first pitch fastball. 4 of his home runs, 4 of 13, have been on the first pitch, and he's hitting 400 when he puts the first pitch in play this year.
We've had this discussion many times in the last 2-3 years, but could you imagine Zimmerman as a Philly or Zimmerman as a Met or even as a Marlin?
Absolutely.
With a guy like Hanley and Cantu around him. He's kind of been the lone cowboy for the Nationals.
I think Dunn has helped this year. And I think when you have a healthy Nick Johnson and Adam Dunn hitting behind Zimmerman, that's a help.
Of course, the other thing that's happened since we've seen the Nationals is Zimmerman did reach an agreement on a long-term contract, something they are hoping to do with Steven Strasburg, their first-round draft pick, the first pick overall. Zimmerman was the 4th overall pick out of Virginia.
Yeah, back in 2005, did not play many games in the minor leagues.
Hanley gobbles it up. Fires across, and Ricky works a neat and tidy 6th inning. 2-2. And when he came by, Ricky Nolasco talking a little smack that the Frost Brewed Coors Light freeze can. Olson has thrown just 62 pitches. Both he and Nolasco have been super since giving up their 2 runs, respectively. Sean Cunningham, not only a trainer, but also, if you need the mud out of your spikes, he can help you out, too. He's got those magical tongue depressors. Though you have to, a lot of times in baseball, one tongue depressor doesn't do it. You have to tape like 3 of them together so they don't break.
Gives you better handle and they don't break, yeah. See, there you go. And it's nice if it has a little point on it, a little sharp point.
I think you can see the tape on that. Bonifacio pops it out into shallow right, and that's Hernandez that makes the play. So Hanley's coming up with Cantu. Olson's in a groove. Marlins' last base runner was Hanley back in the 3rd when he drove in the 2nd run with a single.
Hanley has tied a club record 8 straight games with an RBI.
It's happened 6 times. The last to do it was Jorge Cantu last year. How about Mariano Rivera last night picking up save number 500?
Congratulations to one of the best, if not the best, over the last 15 years. Only 2 closers now over 500 saves, Rivera and Trevor Hoffman.
And Rivera certainly sparkled in the postseason. He had more opportunities than Hoffman. There's your batting leaders. Hanley creeping up. Kung Fu Panda, even though he was spooked in Milwaukee by the fister, apparently Pablo Sandoval was at 3 a.m. in the morning, according to him, was awakened by a ghost he felt at the fister. But then he went out and hit 2 home runs the next day. I think he had 3 home runs in that series. Hanley goes down. Boy, Olson is rolling. 9 in a row now.
And you look at his strikeouts. 4 of his 5 strikeouts have been just in the last 3 innings. So he's starting to make good pitches with his slider, with the changeup. And that fastball, as we were told, has been right in that low 90s range. And there are the drips from the bill of his cap.
One of the things that I think is unique about Hoffman and Mariano Rivera, maybe more so than any other position in baseball, maybe even sports, is as a closer, you can't add on to your record as your career winds down. It's not like a closer can stick around and pick up a dozen saves. Like an aging slugger can pick up.
You still have to be good at the top of your game.
Like a hitter can pick up 3,000 hits, or a slugger can pick up, you know, a dozen more homers. Hank Aaron in his final years, picking up 12, 15 homers a year. You're either the closer or you're not. And it's not like, we're going to send you out there, give you 10 saves this year.
The other thing about Mariano Rivera, he's done it with one pitch, a cut fastball.
Yeah, that's right.
And how about in the game in which he got the 500th save, he got his first ever RBI. He walked with the bases loaded.
Even in other sports, quarterbacks can go to other teams and, you know, still throw for a few more touchdown passes, or receivers can, you know, finish their career somewhere else, or running backs. Not closers. When you're done, you're done. And many people thought that Hoffman was done.
And he's been on the top of his game with the Brewers. Brewers have opened up their lead against the Mets. 7-2 lead in the 7th inning.
Not sure which show. Either I heard it on a radio show today or read it in a blog or a column, where some of the Atlanta Braves said that if they had had Mariano Rivera, they might have been the dynasty in the 90s.
No question about it. The great luxury, not to take anything away, the Yankees had great teams. They had some tremendous young players coming up with Jeter and Bernie Williams and the like. But to know at the end of the game you had that to come in, Mariano Rivera, who had such a high percentage and more often than not closed it out.
2-2. Almost sounded like it clipped Cantu, but the count's full at 3-2. You know, I think that may have gotten his shirt. A little soft serve swing down the line, and it's just foul.
Heard a great story. It was actually just a fan calling in. They were talking about Rivera. And this fan was in Texas. And the Texas bullpen, or the Yankee bullpen in Texas, is visible for a lot of fans. And this fan was commenting on a game where the Yankees had a 1-run lead. He watched Rivera warm up, which he said was a real thrill. All the pitches were right there. And and then when Rivera was called in to come in and pitch the bottom of the 9th inning with the 1-run lead, he said the bullpen coach was packing up the gear.
Boy, a 10-pitch at bat, and Olsen wins that battle. He strikes out Cantu. Scotty's throwing well tonight. So's Ricky. It's 2-2. The numbers, and they're very similar. Neither has walked a man. You can see the strikeouts. They've combined to punch out 11. The pitch counts are almost dead even.
I'll tell you, the role right now that Scott Olsen's on, he's retired 10 in a row, and 5 of his 6 strikeouts have been during that time.
Adam Dunn takes a breaking ball outside.
A few players. We talk about that big shift. Saw it with Prince Fielder. We see it with Ryan Howard, and certainly with Adam Dunn.
Bonifacio over on the first base side of second.
I think, Rich, I still think the Marlins are the only, could be wrong, the only team that moved the third baseman over to the right side of the infield and keep the shortstop on the left side.
Well, it keeps your shortstop in a natural spot, and it helps you've got a second baseman playing third. In fact, the Marlins are playing with 4 second basemen. If you really think about it, Bonifacio's a second baseman.
You got 3 of them on the right side of the infield right now.
Uggla's a second baseman. Cantu's a second baseman. Coughlin's a second baseman. That's like almost like the Nationals with outfielders. Only it's a little easier to sprinkle second basemen around than corner outfielders. Guys as versatile as Cantu and Coughlin, a little easier to do than with Dunn and Willingham and Millage and Dukes and Kearns. Did I miss anybody? Willie Harris?
Well, he's in there.
Yeah, he's in center. I feel like I'm missing another Nationals outfielder. We saw Roger Bernardina out there, and he's on the disabled list. Remember, he hurt his ankle against the Marlins.
Making a catch, deep center field. Last thing's Millage they sent down, then he got injured when he was in AAA.
Of course, they still have Dimitri Young on the disabled list, too. Swing and a miss. Did you catch that after the strikeout? Paulino turned to throw to third. He didn't throw to third. He just threw it out to shortstop. Let the Marlins pay your mortgage or rent with the Marlins Mortgage Payout. Log on to marlins.com. Register today for the Marlins Mortgage Payout. Coming up on Saturday the 4th, one fan will be awarded a check for up to $2,500 towards their mortgage or rent payment. 1-877-MARLINS.
Well, Ricky needs to get some runs. He has been just tremendous. Once again, this is his 5th start since coming back from the minor leagues.
This is a guy that has hit him well and hit him hard. Willingham, a 420-foot double, a solid single.
Josh Willingham now 11 for his last 20.
Brewers are piling on the Mets now 7-2 in the 7th. Ricky steps off. Willingham steps out.
So you were talking, Rich, about the Braves last inning before, how the Marlins have a lot of games.
Into right. Brett Carroll is there, and he makes the catch.
I think sometimes it works out for the good. Sometimes it works out the other way. The Marlins will see the Braves, and I think you and I both agree a much better team by the time they see them. They have Nate McLeod. They've solved their problem in center field.
They got an ace now.
They have Tommy Hansen, who was not even with the ball club. The youngster who won his 4th game. He's 4-0.
He's their best starter right now.
He beat Boston 2-1. So they are a better team right now. And as we pointed out at the beginning of this game, Washington's a better team than they were early in the year.
Yeah, the Nationals took 2 of 3 from the Yankees, 2 of 3 from Toronto in interleague play. Back into the bullpen is still a real issue. And I think Manny Acta has had as many closers as center fielders this year.
There's a former Marlin down there who wasn't there when we last saw the Nationals, Ron Vallone. is in their bullpen.
Velasco just missed outside.
Boy, he's got the slider, the curveball, the fastball. Good bite tonight. He hasn't missed with many breaking balls. That one just missed off the plate. You don't see a lot of the rollers. They all have good sharpness. And then a good fastball in on the hands to Hernandez.
It's funny how, and Mark Wiley is one of the things that he's preached, and some pitching coaches do, and Wiley does it with a lot of success. He preaches tempo, wants pitchers to work quickly. And I think Ricky may have taken that a little too much to heart and worked too quickly. And that was one of the issues and one of the things that they addressed. And I think Ricky said it a couple weeks ago, in that he feels like he has slowed down and maybe was rushing himself.
Yet he still has a quick pace.
Yes.
About it.
Dive bomber of a sinker. Velasco gets the strikeout and a 1-2-3 7th. 7th inning stretch and a 2.
Against Ricky Velasco, that home run off the bat, Ryan Zimmerman. He got another run in that inning, but Ricky has been superb since that time in this ball game. Ricky's given up those 2 runs, 7 strikeouts, no walks. Chris Coughlin got the Marlins on the scoreboard with a base hit. It made it a 2-1 game. Hanley with another RBI. 8 straight games he's had at least 1 RBI. But on the other hand, Scott Olson got in a groove. He's retired 10 in a row. So a couple of pitchers really dealing.
Olson catches the corner against Ugla, and Dan has been baffled so far tonight. He has struck out twice. This is the guy that Manny Acta was hoping for in Scott Olson. You saw in our Geico quote, Acta referencing the fact that Olson was a 200-inning guy for the Fish. There's a former Marlin, Julian Tavares.
201 and 2/3 innings last year for Scotty. You know, they got a good start out of another one of their left-handers.
That's just foul.
John Lannon pitched a nice game yesterday in Baltimore, beat the Orioles 5-3, went 7 1/3. So you can see how if they can get a few good starts, guys like Lannon, Scott Olson. We're going to see Jordan Zimmerman in this series.
Craig Stammen tomorrow, right-hander. Yes, Zimmerman against Johnson on Wednesday.
There's JJ getting ready for that Wednesday start. So you look ahead, he'll pitch Wednesday, then he would pitch Tuesday in San Francisco, and Sunday in Phoenix.
And that Sunday would be the last start before the All-Star game.
Yeah.
Here's the 2-2. But as we discussed over the weekend, the Marlins feel that if Johnson is selected for the All-Star game, and he should be, that even though he starts on Sunday, he could throw an inning on that Tuesday.
It would be a throw day, but certainly that's a little more effort than a normal throw day. So because of that, as we talked with Freddie and with Mark Wiley, he would still pitch in that Philly series, but probably Sunday.
Yeah, and I think another thing that factors in that for Freddie is just the reaction and experience of the last couple of years for Uggla and Hanley, and how exhausting an All-Star game can be. Uggla chops it to third. Zimmerman gathers it in. I mean, you play a game Sunday night. The Marlins are in Arizona. Then you jump on a plane and you fly to St. Louis.
And you don't stop.
No.
As soon as you land, you have activities, things to be at.
There's the big batting practice, home run hitting contest, the gala dinner, sign 100 balls, team picture, all the things, the trappings that come with an All-Star game. Meanwhile, everybody else in the league has got 2 or 3 days off. And then after the All-Star game, you're flying, some are flying out that night or flying out the next day. As strange as it sounds, All-Star games can be draining. Of course, there are a lot of players that would like to have that burden.
Like to have that, yeah.
Cody swings and misses, and it's 1-1.
Well, yeah, you just think about the flying in Phoenix for, let's say, Hanley, now to St. Louis. Then after the All-Star game, it's back to Florida for that series against the Phillies, then back out to San Diego. All within a week's time.
The Marlins will spend most of July on the West Coast. Late night with the fish will be huge.
Oh, it'll be big
in July.
We look forward to it.
Fish tacos in San Diego, In-N-Out Burger in Los Angeles.
Sushi in San Francisco.
Maybe we go to Skoma's or sushi
Skoma's, yeah.
in San Francisco.
A little cheese and wine.
Wow, Scott Olson. That's 12 in a row now. Olson going strong here in the 7th. Ice Age Dawn of the Dinosaurs is hatched in theaters July 1st. The coolest comedy of this summer. Here's Paulino. He hit a bullet that Guzman snared and made a nifty spin and throw. And that's a shot in the center field. You know, one thing that occurred to me today in preparing for this game, it's been a weakness for the Marlins the last 2-3 years, and that's soft tossing lefties. Now, Olson is right on that border.
He's a little bit harder.
He's not Moyer or Manny Parra or Doug Davis type, but he's close. The one guy that the Marlins that really hits the soft tossing lefties well is Paulino. I mean, Paulino now against Olson is 8 for 20. Against Moyer in his career, he's 5 for 11. So that's a little bit of a, for the Marlins, a boost in that category. Because soft tossing lefties were death to the fish last year, year before.
I think they've handled them a little bit better this year. You're right.
Carroll has contributed to that. He's doubled.
By the way, decision time, again, we're back in the National League. Decision time for both managers, you're getting to that point of the game, but for Freddie Gonzalez, should Brett Carroll get on base? Because on deck is Ricky Nolasco, who's throwing well. He's just under 100 pitches. Ricky at 98 pitches. But if you get a couple of guys on a man in scoring position, that's why you have to get that bullpen busy.
Carroll into center. Willie Harris has it lined up and makes the catch. Well, we'll see if Nolasco comes out and pitches the 8th. 2-2 game. For men, hair color, national hold leaders, Joe Beimel. I think all these guys have tried to close a game as well this year. Just as middle relievers keep their team in the game, you too can stay in the game with Just for Men. Hair color.
Well, let me show you some consistency, Rich, that Ricky Nolasco's had tonight. He's had 5 1-2-3 innings. He's thrown 13 pitches in an inning 4 times. The most he's thrown in an inning is 17. He's on a run now of 10 straight. The last base hit he gave up was Willingham's single in the 4th inning. So he's retired 10 in a row now.
Nieves, the pitcher spot, and then Harris. And there's been an Elijah Duke sighting. He is on deck. So Ricky rolls up a breaking ball for a strike. And it's 0-1. So it's the Nationals who are the first to blink in terms of their starter. The Marlins would have been first had Carroll been able to get on base. That ball's hit well, left center field. Ross going after it to the track, looking up. Cody reaches and makes the catch. Nice play.
Well, he had a long way to go, too, because you just don't think Will Nieves is going to hit a ball that far. He's playing about medium center field. Long way to track into left center, and then just as he gets on the warning track, is able to pull it down.
So it's Dukes.
For a while, Dukes was the center fielder for the Nationals.
Yeah, remember Millage on opening day down here? He had a disastrous series with the Bonifacio inside the park home run, and then they tried Dukes out there. Roger Bernardina for a spell. He got hurt. And a strike to Dukes. Dukes, of course, a one-time Ray and a star at Hillsborough High School in Tampa.
Now he can go out of the zone a little bit. Ooh. Got a good part of the plate. Dukes had a good swing, but fortunately straightaway center.
And got away with it. There are 2 outs. Here's Craig.
Rich, thank you. If you're unemployed or like to supplement your income, the Marlins may have a job for you. They've started the first of its kind in its industry, a community sales force. You can go online at www.marlins.com or visit the ball club right here at the stadium, or you can also come to the stadium during a game and go to their sales office. They have a table right here at the stadium during the game's open. to tell you about this, a chance for you to go out, sell tickets for Marlin games, and get a piece of the action. We're going to have more on Marlins Live at 11:30 on Wednesday with Sean Flynn to talk about his very unique, one-of-a-kind program where you can actually sell tickets and make some money. Not bad.
Yeah, that Tommy and I might attend that meeting. Here's the 0-1. And Harris takes a strike.
How about the line of these two pitchers? Each tonight. Scott Olson has struck out 7, no walks. His night is over. Ricky has struck out 7 with no walks. Ricky's also retired 12 in a row.
0-2 coming.
Make it 8.
And Nolasco can still get the win if the Marlins can get him a run. That's not been easy for either team tonight. Nationals and Marlins. Look at a proud pitching coach there, Mark Wiley. Toyota trends. Marlins have won 22 of the last 25 against the Nationals. 12 of the last 14 in this ballpark. And the Marlins going to face a former Marlin. Now he was a Marlin briefly for 27 games in 2005. Ron Vallone.
Yeah, he'll give you a little short arm action with the fastball, slider, and curvy. Kind of turns his changeup over. And I saw him in the Nationals clubhouse. I said, how's Manny actually using you? He said, a lot. He said, I like that too. So he likes getting in lots of games.
Ron Vallone has pitched for 12 different teams in the big leagues. And Wes Helms is up there. So Helms pinch hits in Nolasco's spot. Helms, Coghlan, Bonifacio. What's the all-time record?
That's got to be it. Because for a while, 10.
Like Greg Harris or somebody like that?
Yeah, and maybe a Mike Morgan. Might have been, but I think 12. If it's not the record, it is tied the record.
And Mike Morgan's a good one. I think Ken Brett pitched for a variety of teams as well in his career. Helms has run into Ron Vallone on occasion. Dan Meyer would love to have a career as long as Ron Vallone.
Yeah, Wes Helms, a couple of hits in his career against Vallone. Look for, if Helms should reach base, look for Alejandro De Aza to pinch run.
Vallone out of the University of Massachusetts was a tight end and came up with Seattle. a New Jersey guy.
They got a little something in common with Dan Meyer.
Can you name the teams that he has not appeared for? 3-2. That is a fair ball, and into the corner it goes. Helms around first. Willingham picks it up. Helms has got himself a double. The Marlins are in business here in the 8th.
Oh, that's a nice start, and that's a even nicer at bat by Wes Helms. He battled, fouled off some pitches. Here comes De Aza. And then got a pitch that wasn't a perfect one because it wasn't anything he could pull. Fastball was down. It was out over the plate. It was a borderline strike. But Wes Helms picks up pinch hit number 8. And it's his 3rd double of the year. That's a great piece of hitting.
Well, Manny Acta with a right-hander in the bullpen now has got Coughlin, the lefty, up, so Valone stays out there. Then you've got Bonifacio, the switch hitter, and then Hanley. And let's see what Coughlin does here. Do you try to move him over, or you just try to drive him in?
You try to move him over, but with a swing or a bunt. Whatever you feel more comfortable with.
Coughlin squares. There's the bunt. It's a good one. Zimmerman calls him off, makes the throw. And a nice play by Hernandez to come across the bag. De Aza's at 3rd. And here comes Bonifacio.
Well, that's a great bunt by Chris Coughlin. He gets the job done. Not easy because everybody on that infield knew what he was trying to do. Good play by Zimmerman to pick it and throw him out.
Now the infield
and a good jump too by De Aza from second base.
Infield is creeping in. Bonifacio a better hitter from this side of the plate, but if Acta went and got the right-hander, the Marlins would counter with Ross Glode. And I think he'd rather pitch to Bonifacio than Glode. And Malone's out front 0-1.
Those are all the things you factor in if you're Manny Acta. Of course, Emilio Bonifacio would love to get a game-winning hit, put his team ahead against his former team.
You know, for all the failings and the struggles for Bonifacio this year, he's actually hitting .271 with runners in scoring position. That's a strike, and it's 0-2. Now, the hard part for Bonifacio is the pitchers have been able to get him out outside of the strike zone. So now that Valone is out in front 0-2, he can toy with them a little bit.
Yeah, he can toy upstairs out of the strike zone with a fastball, or he can go with his breaking ball. But if you're Ron Valone, you're not going to throw this pitch in the zone, but you have to be careful of a wild pitch.
Nieves sets up outside, and Valone misses away. It's 1-2. Better contact from this side of the plate. More walks from the other side of the plate. Infield is in. And, of course, Hanley is on deck.
The Marlins have played 12 one-run games in June. They're 8-4 in those games. And here we are in another tight one. There's that changeup that he kind of turns over.
And so he has toyed with them, and he's missed twice, and it's 2-2.
Manny Acta knows how important this out is for him, though, with the guy on deck, Hanley Ramirez.
Jim Riggleman, his bench coach, almost looked like Acta was looking for a changeup. 2-2. Bonifacio sends it into center field. Harris is there. Tagging is De Aza. He's going to score, and Bonifacio delivers. How about that? Nicely done.
A nice bit of small ball by the Marlins in this inning. You get the leadoff double, the terrific bunt by Coughlin, and a sac fly on a 2-strike pitch from Bonifacio. Got it deep enough, didn't even draw a throw. And De Aza was able to score easily. You know, when you hit that ball, you hit the sac fly, you take a peek, you enjoy it, and that moment was enjoyed by Bonifacio.
So Ron Vallone exits. In the bottom of the 8th, Hanley Ramirez with 2 outs. Julian Tavares is up and on to face Hanley. Hanley breaks his bat, drives it down the left field line. That's going to roll into the corner. Dunn will take his time and pick it out. Hanley's racing for third, puts on the brakes, comes to a skidding halt. And is back at second.
And comes to his senses and realized there were 2 out. Well, he got it on the end of the bat, but he pulled it down the line. So he knew this ball was going to stay fair, so he gets out of the box in a hurry. And because he got a quick jump out of the box, and because it wasn't hit all that hard, by the time Dunn got to it, Hanley thought about it, but then realized the situation. Good job. How about for Hanley, the 11th time this year he's had a 3-hit game. Look at that. Hanley with the 11, only Miguel Tejada with more.
Here is Cantu. Well, Vallone has pitched for 12 different teams. Tavares has pitched for 11 different teams. That's a... You talk about 2 guys that have a lot of different luggage tags in their garage on equipment bags.
Ron Vallone has pitched in 45 different ballparks over his career.
Tavares misses inside. Tavares in the postseason has appeared with Cleveland. He pitched under Mark Wiley's tutelage. Indians in 95 and 96. Giants against the Marlins in 97.
Interesting, with the count 2-0, they have decided to put Jorge Cantu on, even though he's a right-handed batter, and pitch to Dan Uggla. Dan's not had a good night tonight. And even though Jorge is 0 for 3, they realize his ability. They know he's got a lot of base hits in this situation, but I don't think Dan Uggla's taking too kindly to this move.
So So Ugla will trudge to the plate, and for Ugla, he's just happy that Scott Olson's not in there. He was 0 for 3 with 2 punch-outs against Olson.
Rich, we talked about the series against the Rays. The Marlins were 2 for 23 with runners in scoring position. Tonight, with runners in scoring position, 2 for 2, plus 3 sacks, 2 bunts, and 1 sack fly.
Our Firestone leaderboard flashing before your eyes. Breaking ball is strike. Good speed with Hanley at second. Cantu's at first. 2 outs. The big run came on Bonifacio's sacrifice fly after the pinch hit double by Wes Helms to start the inning.
Did you see that move at Tavares? That was a Louis Tiant move. And he got Hanley. Hanley went back to the bag. Look at that. Whoop.
And that's that is not only to deceive the runner, but as a hitter, you have a tendency when you see that to think he's going to second. Of course, it works better when you throw a strike.
Yeah, he kind of lost sight of the strike zone. I'll tell you, good job tonight by Will Nieves behind the plate. He's had a good game, threw out a runner, threw out Coughlin in the 3rd inning, and he's made a lot of nice stops like that.
He's become their starter once Jesus Flores was injured, and there's the new closer, Dan Meyer. And I think it's significant that it's Meyer who's up and not Leo Nunez.
Well, he may not finish it, though. You've got Guzman, then you have Johnson, a lefty. Then you have Zimmerman, the righty. But then you're back to a lefty and done.
And Meyer has been a guy that's been able to get righties and lefties out, which adds to the allure of having him finish. Ugla fouls it, and it's 2-2. So I'm not sure, and it's probably happened for the Nationals this year, but has there ever been 2 guys that have come out of the bullpen back-to-back, one that's pitched for 12 teams, another that's pitched for 11 teams?
I would think not. I was thinking about Matt Herges when you were talking about guys. He's been with all the teams in the West.
Yeah.
National League West.
He should write.
I think he's with Cleveland though now.
He should write a book about the National League West. Travel guide. There's a little bend in that delivery by Tavares.
And you notice Tavares has given Dan Ugla 3 or 4 different deliveries, and that's what he does with his mostly sinkers and fastballs and sliders.
Douglas steps out, full count, 2 outs. That means Hanley and Cantu will be on the move. Ooh, Tavares thought he had it. Ugla may have gotten a break, and the Marlins have him loaded. That is a pretty good pitch.
I think Dan even paused a little bit. Yeah, this is close.
That's a pitch where if Ugla's out at second base, he starts towards the dugout.
Well, let's see. Cody Ross with 3 grand slams.
He and Hanley both have hit 3. Not a lot of teams have had a pair of guys hit 3 in a season.
I thought it was an interesting note. When I read that, were you surprised as I was? According to the Elias Sports Bureau, Hanley and Cody are only the third pair of teammates to have at least 3 home runs, 3 grand slams each.
It's the third pair that surprised me. Not that Giambi did.
A-Rod and Paul Sorrento,
right,
with the Seattle, and Jason Giambi and Ben Grieve with the Athletics.
Sorrento and Grieve kind of making cameo appearances there.
Sorrento, I can believe a little more than Grieve.
Manny Acta is out to talk to Tavares now.
And all of a sudden, Cody he's been able to get the count now in his favor.
You know, this weekend, in the first 2 games of the series against the Rays, it almost felt like the Rays kind of waited the Marlins out until they got to the end of the bullpens. The end of the pen for the Rays, very good. The end of the pen for the Marlins this weekend. Nunez wasn't available, Lindstrom gone,
Calero
gone. And that was the difference in the first 2 games. And it almost feels the same way here, only the roles are reversed, and the Nationals' back of their bullpen is being exposed right now. 2-0. He's going to get something to hit, you would expect. It's inside. 3-0. Acta may have said, quit all the fancy spinning around stuff and just throw strikes, will you?
Yeah, I think you pointed out in that series, the bullpen for the Rays did not allow a run. 3-game series.
He lost him. And Tavares almost looked like he's ready to walk off the mound. There was nobody up in the Nationals bullpen. Now they have to get somebody up. You could just watching the body language of Tavares. It's 4-2. It's a big run for the Fish. And that's, you know, you feel badly for a guy like Manny Acta, who's a bright manager, and he has a roster that has been kind of slapped together, a bullpen that's aging and not real effective, a very young rotation. Paulino hits it hard. Zimmerman makes a nice pick and out at second. Hernandez went up to make the catch. Almost looked like he was off the bag, but the out is called by Ed Rapuano. And we'll see if Dan Meyer can close this game. Marlins on top 4-2. started. The bases loaded walk to Ross added on. De Aza stays in the game. He's in left. And Dan Meyer comes out and looks for save number 2 in his big league career. As you'll remember, save number 1 came in the last homestand, and it was on Wednesday against the Orioles. And as Meyer told everybody afterwards, he's done everything in his career. He's started, he's pitched in the middle innings, coming in the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th. He said the 9th inning felt completely different than anything he's ever experienced in baseball.
Well, many will say those last 3 outs are the hardest.
Here is Guzman. It's a strike. It's 1-1. It's nice to hear that from a guy who's being open and honest, because many people feel when you have trouble with your closer, well, put this guy in, let that guy close, bring that guy in. And it's easier said than done. We've seen it this year. Leo Nunez has had opportunities to close in the 9th, and he hasn't looked all that comfortable doing it.
That's why I think you see a lot of guys. Some move on to that ninth inning, but you see a lot of guys who are very comfortable and pitch very well in the 8th inning. And you'll hear the term, well, he has closer stuff. But can he close a game?
One of the guys that a couple of teams tried to make a closer that has been an outstanding 8th inning guy, and is now almost a lefty specialist. The Marlins had the end of last year, Arthur Rhodes. Ground ball, Cantu backhands. Flip to Meyer. He's got the first out.
Well, the Cubs, a good example. Of course, they're having many issues. But Lou Piniella goes back and forth with Carlos Marmol, who has closer stuff, but has moments of wildness. And Kevin Gregg, who's been on again and off again.
You know, one of the greatest closers in the game's history doesn't have closer stuff. That's Trevor Hoffman. Would you say he's got closer stuff?
Not now.
To me, the word stuff is misused.
Well, the stuff is what he has inside, in his heart, but in his head.
I think stuff is reserved for speed on your fastball, speed on your slider, movement on a fastball. I think it should also include the ability to change speed. I think a guy like Greg Maddux had great stuff.
Yeah, yeah. But nobody ever refers to him as a guy who had great stuff. They said, well, he knew how to pitch.
Mariano Rivera has that cut fastball. That would qualify as great stuff into left field. And De Aza picks it up, and so Nick Johnson has the hit. Now, here was that spot that you were wondering about with the Zimmerman coming up and Meyer on the mound. And yes, Zimmerman represents the tying run, so this is a true test as to who's going to close.
Boy, Nick Johnson happy about that base hit. That snaps an 0 for 21 that he'd been in.
So the Marlins got 2 in the 8th. This is Ricky Nolasco's game to win. Meyer is trying to close it. Nunez is back up. Zimmerman, a mammoth homer in the 2nd. 0 for 2 since. Popped him in a shallow right. Carroll. 2 down.
It's almost like, I'm equating closing with other sports, and it's like there are a number, just tremendous golfers out there, even guys who aren't on the PGA Tour, some of the mini tours. They can all hit the ball a long way, but when you have to make that 3-4 foot putt to win a tournament, that's what closers can do.
And while teams search for the guys with the electric stuff, as we've said, sometimes it's the guys that can just throw the strikes. And I think we talk about Rivera's cut fastball. That's been a difference maker for Meyer this year as he faces Dunn, fouls it off, and that's a pitch that Mark Wiley taught to him in spring training. And said, you know, I think this cut fastball might help you. And Meyer has said it has made all the difference in the world for him, because it's allowed him to get right-handers out now, too.
And we've talked about the different closers the Marlins have had. Todd Jones, another guy who didn't have great stuff, but just knew how to pitch, used an assortment of pitches.
Dunn is dangerous. He takes outside.
A little variation of the shift with Dunn up there, because Jorge Cantu can't get too far back. He has to kind of hang around the bag a little bit just to keep Johnson close. And then he starts to move backward as Meyer delivers to the plate.
Dan Meyer, a starter coming up, one of the top prospects in the Braves organization, traded to Oakland. Dunn hits a rocket, and it gets by the diving Uggla. Carroll picks it up. On his way to third is Nick Johnson. And so this closing thing is getting a little tougher for Meyer.
Well, even through the shift, Adam Dunn hits a bullet past Dan Uggla. Dan Uggla playing deep on the grass and just can't quite get to this ball hit so sharply by Dunn.
Well, Freddie's coming out, and he's going to go get Leo Nunez. So a little closer by committee here. Marlins trying to finish this thing with a 2-run lead and 2 outs. Here's Armarooni called to the bullpen. Alberto Gonzalez pinch runs at first base, and Nunez is in to pitch to the hammer, Josh Willingham. 96. And a fastball by Willingham. Nunez has been on the shelf this past week with that tender ankle, but nice to have him back and available. He started the night by doing our lineups. There's Gonzalez, and he tries to finish the night and get Willingham, who has 2 hits. Nunez misses outside. In fact, Willingham had 2 of the 4 hits given up by Ricky Nolasco, who went the first 8 innings, gave up 2 runs, struck out 8, walked nobody.
Ricky Nolasco had 6 1-2-3 innings.
Johnson and Gonzalez. One coming. Of course, Willingham, who had so many dramatic walk-off hits as a Marlin,
and 1 or 2 of those against the Nationals. There's some high heat there, 96 miles an hour on that last fastball.
Let's see if Nunez can finish him and get the Marlins back to 500. Willingham has been the hottest hitter for the Nationals this past week. On 2. Drives it to center field. Ross goes back. He's got room. Ball game. Marlins win it 4-2. Nunez closes. Meyer got